Good morning. Over to the Director of Ceremonies.
Good morning, Dr. Atley.
Good morning.
Is Dr. Chitara in the room? Read that.
I seem not to locate her. I thought the Director of Ceremonies was Dr. Kinsola.
I have a program that says Dr. Chitara. Okay. Let's see. You are correct. Right, colleagues and everyone else joining us today, good morning. A warm welcome to you all. My name is Swama Hamunyela. I am just stepping in this hour for Dr. Kinsola, who seemed to experience technical issues, and he'll be joining us later. So today our program begins at 8:30. We are 3 minutes behind the time, and we have the opening ceremonies where we will listen to the welcoming remark by Dr. Maravanyika, the Acting Associate Dean, Teaching and Learning at Faculty of Computing and Informatics. We will also hear a keynote address from Prof. Mary Joseph and a remark from Dr. Mangwala, the Acting Director, Technology Transfer at the University of Technology, Science and Technology in Botswana. So without wasting more time, I would like to call to the podium Dr. Maravanyika to give us a welcoming remark. Dr. Maravanyika.
Thank you, Dr. Amnyela, in your capacity as the stand-in Director of Ceremonies. To all our invited guests and dignitaries, the keynote speakers, the presenters, the sponsors, all protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, this morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are located, I would like to welcome you to the third and final day of the third International Multidisciplinary Information Technology and Engineering Conference, IMITEC. I would like to mention the several initiatives that have taken place over the past 2 days, where we had the opportunity to hear from a varied spectrum of speakers, including students from academic institutions, distinguished professors and other academics, and industry leaders as they shared their experiences in various information, communication, and technology, as well as engineering research. The conference began on Tuesday, the 23rd, with workshops on data visualization using Python, as well as towards statistical thinking and data science and virtual reality, all with the goal of fulfilling the theme of this conference towards reimagining the future of ICT. Indeed, the presentations, the workshops highlighted that this conference is becoming one of the premier conferences on the academic calendar of many researchers. Yesterday, the conference continued with interesting research papers in various fields such as artificial intelligence, digital engineering and applications, and ICT development and society. I believe the presentations were of an extraordinary high quality, and I hope that that same level of quality will be able to continue today. But ladies and gentlemen, let me leave you to make that judgment. As we continue today, and as Dr. Amiela has alluded to, we begin our morning with a keynote address from Professor Mira Joseph, as well as an address by Dr. Moloki Mangwala, and then we'll continue with our paper presentations in the areas of artificial intelligence, computer systems, networks and applications, and multimedia and computing technologies. It is my privilege and honor, therefore, to greet all the delegates and welcome you, to greet also the keynote speakers and invited speakers who, despite their busy schedules, have graciously agreed to offer highly fascinating talks. Last but not least, I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming, as well as the organizers and technical committees and chairs, as well as our sponsors. I hope you are going to enjoy the final day of our conference, and you are going to find the discussions that are going to ensue quite stimulating. I thank you and I welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Maravanyika. I'm reliably informed that Dr. Kensola is now in the room and will take over the chairship from here. Thank you.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us in the IMEC distance. We now just want to briefly introduce our keynote speaker to the audience. The keynote speaker on cyber skills and student readiness for the future workforce is Professor Mrs. Mesra K. Joseph. Is the HOD for School of IT and Business at Academic Institute of Excellence for the Midrand and Cape Town campus from mid-July 2021. She earlier worked as an independent contractor at the Independent Institute of Education, South Africa, from January 2020 till July 2021. She's also the invited masters and doctoral supervisors at the Vicien Institute as of end of 2020 and worked as MIPA Business Schools as a DBA supervisor in 2021. She worked as the associate professor at the DFC, Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering Technology, School of Electrical Engineering, University of Johannesburg, till the year 2018, and held various senior roles at UJs for 18 years. She is the professional member of the Institute of Information Technology Professional School, Africa, PMIITASA, and full member of IEEE Computer Society. She is currently the IEEE Computer Society SA chapter chair and senior member of SAIEE. She's received the degree of DPhil Engineering Management, UJ, in July 2014. Master degree in computer applications in 1998 from Bangor Universities, and BSc Chemistry, Physics, and Mathematics. So she has authored 75 research work and has around 21 years of leading experience at the computer engineering ICT field. She founded and led the Information and Communications Technology for Development, ICT for Development research group at UJ School of Electrical Engineering, and finally, Group 5 Award for Excellency in Engineering and Technology, Excellence in Research. Her multidisciplinary research interest are ICT for development, smart grid, cloud computing, computational intelligence, AI, machine learning, computer network, front cell ICT for renewable energy research, blockchain, ICT for empowerment, the use of ICT in water research, and the use of ICT in engineering and education. She was nominated for the 2020-21 NFC School 32 Award in the Engineering Research Capacity Development Award category. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to introduce our most honored and experienced speaker to us this day. I have the honor to introduce to you our Professor Mrs. Maraki Joseph. Thank you for joining us. You're welcome. Please, over to Professor Maraki Joseph.
We seem to have a sound issue from the presentation of Prof. I don't know if the other co-chairs can try, session chairs try to blame it from their end. I can stop from this end.
Dr. Gamdan. Dr. Gamdan.
Yes, Dr. Chikora.
Okay, let me try playing from my end.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Okay, I'll share my screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes.
I'm Mira Joseph. I work for Academic Institute of Excellence. I'm honored to be invited to give this keynote address today for the third IMITEC Conference. Today, I would like to briefly speak about the skills related to cybersecurity and student readiness for the future workforce. The fourth industrial revolution versus fifth industrial revolution, as you are aware, the fourth industrial revolution, the production and innovation brought about by AI and robotics and blockchain and crypto and virtual reality, these were part of fourth industrial revolution. But in the fifth industrial revolution, there was more personalization and a deep multi-level cooperation between the people and the machines. So when we move from fourth to the fifth industrial revolution, the skills required would be more complex and the threat in the cyberspace are varied. So many new cybersecurity skills are required for the student readiness in the workforce. So some of the jobs may disappear and other jobs may grow. So let's look at the student readiness in entering the job market. So a student's readiness is obviously it has a vital role in the success in entering the job market, and they need to improve on certain skills when it comes to cybersecurity skills. So some of the aspects that one could improve on is the personal aspect, communication aspect, the technology aspect, the teamwork aspect, and obviously the systems thinking. So let's look at what is cybersecurity. According to IBM, cybersecurity is a practice of protecting critical systems and sensitive info from digital attacks. So cybersecurity actually protects the attacks in the cyberspace, such as data, storage sources, devices. The way you detect and respond to the breaches will be the key to safeguarding your data. Let's look at a particular scenario. Okay, let's look at a situation in a ship where there's some threat, cybersecurity threat to the ship. Now, to create the cybersecurity awareness, so let's look at the steps to create the cybersecurity awareness. The first step is to identify the threats, understand the external cybersecurity threats to the ship, understand the internal cybersecurity threat posed by inappropriate use and lack of awareness. So the next step would be identify the vulnerabilities. So understand the consequence of the threat, understand the capabilities and limitations of the existing cybersecurity, the existing protection measures, for instance. Assess a risk exposure, for instance, determine the likelihood of vulnerability being exploited by external threats. Develop protection and detection measures, reduce the likelihood of vulnerability being exploited through protection measures, and reduce the potential impact of the vulnerability being exploited, right? The next step would be establish a contingency plan, develop a response plan to reduce the impact of threats that are realized in safety and security of the ship. The last step would be obviously to respond to cybersecurity incidents. To the industrial control system, every corporation has a need for properly trained cybersecurity professional nowadays. So the hands-on training opportunity for the students is really, really essential. It's not about getting the badges and certificates, but they actually need experts with hands-on skills. And the organizations nowadays, they may not have a budget to train a new employee. So organizations can see how qualified candidates are, as well as note what are the knowledge gaps they can give further training if they want. So hands-on training actually boosts the confidence. There are simulation labs available, for instance, and certifications available. So the absence of these hands-on training opportunity leads to the cybersecurity workers entering the workforce without the sufficient skill set. So let's look at some of the skill sets are required. Malware analysis, penetration testing, code review, forensics, threat intelligence, risk assessments. Those are the different cybersecurity skills that are required. Incident response, cryptography, network monitoring, etc. So let's see the job markets. 2018 cybersecurity workforce study reports that only 24% of the workforce is female, which shows there's scope for recruiting a larger pool of female candidates. And let's look at the numbers. 3.5 million unfilled cybersecurity jobs are there globally by 2021. Based on 2020 cybersecurity workforce study, cybersecurity team communications have either been unaffected or have improved as a result of remote work. So certifications are really, really important when it comes to cybersecurity profession. And now let's look at the skills. Okay, skills in 4R, skills in 5R. In fourth industrial revolution, obviously, artificial intelligence transformed customer experience and innovations, but data breaches became more and more common. So in fourth industrial revolution, communications became effective through blockchain, artificial intelligence, robotics, and IoT. So secure cyber risk aggregation and measurement, SCRAM, MIT's computer science and artificial intelligence lab, they use, for instance, new cryptographic tools that can calculate aggregate statistics without actually needing the organization to disclose information about the attacks and losses to anyone else, even to the scientists themselves. Right, this is one example. Now, let's move from 4IR to 5IR, right? Fifth industrial revolution. In 4IR, we had AI, robotics, IoT, blockchain, crypto. It was the start of 21st century. Now, second decade of 21st century is fifth industrial revolution. So fifth industrial revolution, there was more personalization. So innovation and purpose and inclusivity. So in fourth industrial revolution, we had the robotics, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, etc. In the fifth industrial revolution, there was more deep multi-level cooperation between people and machines. So obviously the new cyber work opportunity will be created as the systems became more complex. Let's look at the future cybersecurity skills. As we saw in slide 2, we have system thinkers. Some key traits for this cyber workforce would be system thinkers, team players, technical and social skills needs to be improved. So system thinkers, systematic and creative thinkers. When we talk about the team player, the more cohesion and trust between the people in the team. And technical and social skills is the ability to discuss any malicious attempt, data breaches, etc. Then let's look at the civic duty. So remember, the cyber professionals have access to very sensitive data, so they should be committed to the organizations, keep to the mission and values of the organization. Now, let's look at continued learning. So there are rapid changes in technology, so the cyber professionals should have a passion for learning. Or to enter into these markets, obviously, you need to have the continued learning or passion for learning. Communications, more on emotional intelligence side, you need to improve on that, apart from the normal communications side, communication skills. Then there's a demand for ethical hacking skills, especially as intelligent cyber threats begin to emerge. Now, let's look at fifth industrial revolution. Industry 5.0 will make the factory a place where creative people can come and work to create a more personalized human experience for workers and their customers. So file IR will be an exciting time for a cybersecurity professional because the data breaches come in very forms. So for example, network sensors that will collect data everywhere from your smart house to autonomous manufacturing plant to traffic in the street. And another one would be tracking systems that will improve real-time production tracking from checkouts in retailer right back to start of production process. Smart sensing, human brain as a source of signals, okay, like a robotic arm, for instance. Then the virtual training with the drivers, pilots, firefighters, medical professionals, all these are vulnerable to attacks. High-stake cases of hospital ransomware attacks. So hackers are holding patient data as hostage. So this will endanger the life of the patients. Now, let's look at technology aspect. Most popular certifications in cybersecurity. So remember that we are looking at different aspects like technology aspects, the teamwork aspect, all the aspects that we saw in slide 2. So now let's look at one by one. Technology aspect, you can take certifications, right? But there are other aspects like soft skills or communication skills that you still need to improve on. This is just one aspect when it comes to improving your skills in the fifth industrial revolution. Certified information systems security professional is one of the certifications that you could take. Certified information systems security manager, certified ethical hacker, certified in risk and information systems control, certified cloud security professional, certified information systems auditor, information systems security management professional, information systems security architecture professional, certified in governance of enterprise IT, computer hacking, forensic investigator. These are the different. So the last one would be managing risk in information age. This is how it goes. More on local initiative in the sense from South African perspective. These are local to South Africa. So this one is certificate in cybersecurity professional practice and leadership. That's a WITS University one. We've got Fundamentals of Security by UCT, Short Learning Program in Cybersecurity by UJ, Cybersecurity from CPUT, UP, Stellenbosch. Then we have got the APSA Cybersecurity Academy, which addresses the worldwide cybersecurity skills shortage, and the students come from marginalized society. Now let's look at the next aspect, what the students need to improve on. Systems thinking aspect. Systems thinking is a holistic approach for examining complex problems and systems that focus on interactions among system components and the patterns that emerge from those interactions. And system thinkers can help students. Thinkers can help students develop higher order thinking skills in order to understand and address complex interdisciplinary real-world problems. Now let's look at the next skill, that's a soft skill. Soft skills are additional knowledge skills and personal skills. So let's look at different soft skills. The team player, ability to work effectively in a team environment and contribute towards the desired goal. Let's look at the communication skills, ability to convey information so that it is well received and understood. The continued learner skills, continued learner, the ability to learn new concepts and technologies in a short time frame. The last one is the emotional intelligence. This is one of the best soft skills that you can have. Interpersonal skills, ability to reason with emotions, and it facilitates the capacity for resilience. Then it does empathy, reasoning, stress management, ability to read, navigate a plethora of social situations and conflicts. So in effect, to summarize, these are the skills that prepare you for the future cybersecurity job. It's just not the technology aspect, it's personal aspect, systems thinking, teamwork aspect, communication aspect, right? Now, the features and the skills, demand for hacking skills will spike, especially as intelligence cyber threats begin to emerge. The future professionals should defend against relentless AI hackers and develop intelligence systems of their own. So with the rise in internet-connected healthcare devices, obviously, say for example, hackers can access to life-sustaining devices like pacemakers, and hackers can access patient data. So data collection and exchange form the basis of the functioning of sustainable business models. So sensitive data and smart grids, for instance, can be hacked. Now, IoT and AI security skills will be certainly a requirement of the future. Okay, so in conclusion, what we saw today is the cybersecurity skills and student readiness for the future workforce. What skills do you require other than just the technology aspect? So as companies harvest billions of data from people, there's more high-end data breaches. Moving from private AR, there's deep multi-level cooperation between people and machines. And obviously, there are varied skills that you need. And the skills that we saw was system thinkers, continued learner, communicators, cyber professionals with technical and social skills, obviously with IoT, AI, special security skills as well. And those are good references that one could read on. Thanks everyone for this.
Oh, thank you very much. Very thank you to Professor Mira Joseph. Please, if I know after listening to our professor, many of us will have one question or the other to ask. Please note your question down while we welcome a remark from our Dr. Moloki Mangawaya. It's only after that that we will take questions from the audience, if you have any questions to ask, and then we can treat that all together. Please welcome Dr. Moloki Mangwala.
Good morning. Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. I hope I'm audible that side.
Yes, sir, you are audible, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. Let me say all protocol observed. As has already been mentioned, my name is Dr. Muluki Mangwala at International University of Science and Technology here in Botswana. I'm very privileged and glad to be participating in this workshop. And I would like to address you on one aspect which may not be common, but which I feel is very, very important when it comes to these research issues and development. Looking at the theme of this conference, where we are thinking, we are imagining the future, how the future will be like, and how our research can influence what will happen tomorrow. And if indeed we want our research to influence tomorrow, what do we need to do? So the subject that I would want to address today is technology transfer. I know it's not a talk that many people expect in conferences, but I, for one, feel that it's very, very important. Let me at this point share my slide. Okay, my presentation is not going to be very long. It's going to be very, very short. I've been listening to most of the speakers in various sessions presenting their ideas and all their intentions of taking their research further. But what I would want to address or ask is, why do we do this research? Are we doing this research for promotion purposes? Are we doing it for the sake of just doing it? Or do we want to solve real life problems? All these are questions which are very, very important today. The question which also follow is, why do we have so many research papers coming out, yet we have got very little IP, monetary patents, coming out of these works? Is it because our research is not good enough? Or is it because we are not aware of what we need to do to reap the benefits of our research? Many governments in the past few years have been talking about knowledge-based economy. What is this knowledge that they're talking about? How do we actually use that knowledge to benefit our economies? This is where now technology transfer comes in place. But what is this about? Technology transfer, simply put, is just about transforming our ideas into opportunities. And these opportunities could be products and or services. Our universities generate new discoveries from time to time. But is it just enough to come up with a new idea? Indeed, we cannot develop our economies by just coming up with ideas. So our universities and research institutions need to help researchers to advance these discoveries into final products and services. Is it happening now? In my country here in Botswana, I know is not that much. Yet, we are writing so many papers. We put them out there. We say these are novel, these are good ideas. But if they are so, why are we failing to now take them to the next levels of product development or creating some services? But why is this technology transfer important? It's very, very important for increasing visibility and value for research programs. If we have research programs and we don't have any products or services coming out of there, are we going to be able to convince the funders out there that they need to put money in our research? And of course, it's also important for economic development. The benefit that we derive from our products and services can actually develop our countries, develop our economies in the sense that we are going to be able to sell some of these ideas. But for us to be able to sell those ideas, they need to have reached a certain level where we say now this person is the owner of this. And of course, we also need this process to generate more funding for research. As I will show later, if we are able to follow through the process, have intellectual property, we can easily generate funding, which we can plow back into our research. But if we are just writing papers, publishing, where are we going to get the money from? The money that we need to really plow back into our research, the funding that we need to attract more graduate students so that they can do more research. And also, it is very, very important because it demonstrates the relevance of partnerships. Remember, at some point, we need to partner with industries to actually take these products to the market. And one of the most important things about technology transfer is about generating ideas, taking those ideas, develop technology, and ensure that this technology transition from our labs to the marketplace. Now, from here, I'll just show you later on the process. But the issue now that I want us to seriously look into is the role. Whose role is it to actually do this technology transfer process? It is well known that almost all universities and research institutes, they've got this technology transfer office, whatever the name they call it. And their responsibility is to manage innovations, corporate engagement, where they go out there, they engage companies and try to convince them to actually, take these products to the market. And also protecting and licensing inventions to companies, creating new ventures, and also incubation. And this last one, venture creation and incubation, is really, really lacking in most of our universities. The most important thing here is the role which we say is for this technology transfer is delegated to the technology transfer office with its officers who are trained to do that. But now, who are the generators of this knowledge technology. It's us researchers. But do we really understand our role completely in the process? Most of the time, not. Our role as researchers is to conduct research. As I've been listening through many sessions, people have done research. But the question is, have we made any discoveries? In most instances, discoveries have been made, but how have we handled those discoveries? Did we disclose them properly to the Technology Transfer Office so that they can take the necessary steps to protect those discoveries? Again, are we maintaining proper confidentiality when it comes to our discoveries? Probably not. You will realize that most of us, when we make a discovery, the first thing that you think of is writing a paper and thinking of a journal where you are going to publish this idea. That is what we will do. But is it the proper thing to do? Do we have mechanisms in place to actually sieve these ideas to see which ones can be of great importance, which ones we need to protect before we even publish? Most of the time, we just take our work, we publish because tomorrow there's going to be a call for promotion and you want to get a promotion. And there are motivations actually as to why we do that, which I will address later. But let me just briefly go over the technology transfer process so that for those who may not be aware, may start really considering understanding how it works and where they need to play a major role. I'll be speaking from the perspective of a researcher. And of course, technology transfer officers have their roles, but my main talk will be based on a researcher. As expected, an idea will come from a researcher at step number 1. A researcher then would conduct research, and it is expected that during research, discoveries would be made. And as these discoveries are made, they need to be guarded and disclosed to the Office of Technology Transfer. Those are the people now who are going to take the necessary steps to try and protect the discoveries for later benefits. Then the researchers will continue doing lab testing, validation, and so forth. Then the next step, which is very, very key, is 6, where patent strategy is adopted and a decision is made as to what needs to be done. That is now done the TT office, working together with the researcher. However, most of us, we don't actually go that route, no matter how novel our ideas are. We just do step 1, 2, then we skip, we go to step 4, and that's it. But if we do it that way, how are we going to reap our results, or how are we going to benefit? Because as you can see from this diagram here, the benefits will come at step number 11. And unless we've taken the necessary steps from 1 to 10, it's not going to be easy for us to get royalty out of the good work that we do. Therefore, it is very, very key for us as researchers to be aware of the technology transfer process. And the TT office, of course, I know they know the marketing and the licensing and license management. That is their role. But for them to be able to do this, it has to start with researchers conducting research, making discoveries, and making sure that these discoveries are protected. Now, what are the challenges that we encounter? Or what are the impediments in this technology transfer process? Most of the time, it will be resources that we can use to transform these ideas into products and services. And these resources could be our labs. If you need probably some labs for prototyping, also need money, funding to actually take up these. And at times we also have weak partnerships with industry. They don't know what we are doing. Hence, it is very difficult for them to come and play their role. Another challenge that we have is skilled manpower on IP issues. As you may realize, like here in my country, there is not even a single patent attorney. Those who are in the field, they actually just outsource the work to South Africa, because that's where you you find a number of IP attorneys who can actually help in the filing. But why do we have few people who are skilled in IP? It's a scenario of an egg and a chicken. Because if we as researchers are not generating new ideas or are not even showing that we need to protect these ideas, why would somebody go out there and train so that it can be a patent? What will he be doing? So we have not created that gap for somebody to say, oh, there's a gap here, IP attorneys are needed, so I need to go and train so that I can assist these people. All we do most of the time, we write papers, we publish, we go for conferences, and that's it. Another issue now is the high cost of filing patents. And also attached to this also is the turnaround for filing these patents. It takes a long time. Why does it take a long time? Most of the time, we do not have enough manpower. We outsource, and those people are really overwhelmed. And as you may also guess, when there's a lot of work, very few people, the costs are going to be high. Another scenario or situation that we are faced with is this notion of publish or perish. Who wants to wait for a patent to come out or file to complete filing, which will take probably 3 or 4 or 5 years, whereas you can just publish and get your promotion? So there is a lot of pressure for people to publish. And at the same time, there are very few benefits when you just publish. How are you going to generate money for your institution? Of course, the wider community will benefit from your knowledge. But if we do not have funding in our institutions, we are going to be constrained in coming up with new ideas. We are going to be constrained in recruiting more students to come and do research in our institutions. Another challenge is lack of motivation to generate IP. If you look at our guidelines for promotion and all this, most of the time they are really not inspiring researchers to actually choose the route of generating or creating products from their research. Most of us, we believe, if I've made a discovery, publish, is good enough. In other instances, it's also lack of knowledge about IP issues. Many of us have not been trained, or they've not been made aware of the IP issues, various types of IPs that you can obtain. Patenting is good, may take time, but the benefits are huge. But we can also go for other small ones, such as utility models, as a starting point. That can really, really help. If going for full patents is a challenge for most of our institutions, why don't we start small? Start with utility models, copyrights, and get enough funding, then we can take up bigger challenges. I thought these issues are very, very key in today's research and development. Because most of the time, we talk about research and development, R&D, but we just look at the D, the R, and we forget about the D. Do we really develop our research? Most of the time we don't. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me appeal to our researchers to really, really consider this route of taking our ideas into products and services, because that is the only way we can develop our own economies, change lives, because ideas which have not been developed into products will just remain as ideas. They're not going to benefit us in any way. With that said, I would want to thank you. That is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Koloy. We really appreciate your contributions, and we've learned so much that conducting research is not the end, but what does this research become in our economy?
Sorry, your sister had stuff. I admire her bravery.
Okay, so please, if wait for just a short while, if there are questions. If there are questions, please indicate and then pass your questions to us if need be in that area. After listening to our keynote speaker and our the remark presenter, okay, I think Mpofu, please.
Yeah, Nkosinathi Mpofu.
Mpofu.
Yes, Mpofu.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My question is directed to Mr. Muluki, to Dr. Muluki, sorry.
Yes.
Right. Since we are all attached to institutions somehow, more specifically institutions of higher learning, suppose as a researcher, I come up with a viable patent, who does that patent belong to? Is it for the researcher or is it for the institution? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir, for your question. It's a very interesting question, which I would answer this way. The patent belongs to the university because that's where you work. While you were actually creating that knowledge, you were under the employment of that particular institution. How it is owned by the institution 100%. However, the benefits would be different. How we share the benefits. There's always a sharing ratio, which is stipulated in the IP policy. And we need to separate ownership and benefit and creators. Under the creators, you'll be the creator, but the ownership would rest with the university. However, when that IP is exploited, you are going to have your share. If your IP policy says the researcher owns 60%, it will be so. But is it good to have the university owning that IP 100%? From my experience, it's actually the best thing that can happen. Remember, for you to actually file a patent, there are costs which are associated with that. And who pays the costs is the owner, who is the university. And these patents are maintained. That is, you pay each and every year, whether that patent is making money or not. And who will be paying is the owner. So if you are the owner, will you be able to pay? May not be the best thing. But what do you lose when you are not the owner? Nothing much. As long as you are aware of the proportions that you would gain as a researcher, whether it's 60% or less, it will be spelled in the IP policy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. May I now call Mr. Isaac Nahum for your questions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Makwala, for that very informative presentation. Mine is more of a comment or a recommendation. Wouldn't you think that the R&D department for institutions should be more proactive rather than wait for the researchers to approach them to say, we want to take it to the next level? They should be looking at research outputs and say, okay, you did a research under our ownership, like you're saying. We would like to take it further than for there to be a vacuum where the researcher is the one who's supposed to approach R&D and say, can we now develop this idea further, and so on and so on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ideally, research offices need to be proactive. However, it may not be very easy for them to capture some of these early. Remember, the stage where you discover those new ideas will be at the earliest stages of your research. And you need to protect that as soon as possible. Before, like for instance, if you have a student whom you are supervising and you realize, oh, this student has discovered some, even before you write these reports, because remember, most of the reports that you write to the research office would not spell out the nitty-gritties of the discovery. But you as the supervisor, you should be in a position to say, this idea needs to be guarded before even the student start presenting to various panels that would be having. Because by presenting, you would miss out on this IP. So I think the awareness is what the research offices need to do. They need to make you aware that once you discover something, please, here is the process. And as soon as you alert them, now they can follow through. Imagine in some of these universities, we've got over 500 academic staff. And our research offices are not that much resourced, it's just a few people. And I can assure you, it's not like they technically read these reports. And again, it will not be good for you to write a report, and in that report, you state your discovery. It will not be a good thing to do. The best thing is you make a discovery, approach the TT office, let them be aware of that you have something which may be at that stage very, very important and needs protection, and they would guide. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. For those that have asked questions earlier, if there is a follow-up questions, please hold your breath. We may still give you the opportunity. But currently, I think Dr. Stanley has questions, and we hope our doctors will still be available to respond to him. Dr. Stanley, over to you.
Thank you, Director of Ceremonies, Dr. Akinsola, and Dumela to Dr. Ngwala. Dumela, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, I was really enjoying your talk because it's pertinent for us at this moment, because we recently established the TTO office here at the Namibia University of Science and Technology, and also really making a huge, bold move, strategic move to partner with the industry of our biggest giant telecommunication, MTC Namibia. What I really wanted you to touch on a bit is, as we are talking about research and development, and to really use the emerging technologies to help of accelerating the development, because you said at times we focus so much on the research and forget about the development. Can you perhaps just touch on the usage of technologies to support this whole process, as it might take some time? Thank you.
Okay, just come on the last part. What were you saying?
You mentioned that it is true at times us researchers focus on just publishing papers on the R of the R&D. And, you know, perhaps there is a problem also of not using the emerging technologies to accelerate the development. What are your thoughts on that aspect?
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate your question. I would look at it this way. Let's assume in this conference here, somebody has got a discovery, a new idea, which can actually change the way we do things and actually generate revenue for us. And we just publish it, it's gone. However, if we take that idea, we protect it, generate IP, then we approach industry to say, we have this IP. We would want to partner with you to actually develop this into a product or a service. Negotiations will ensue and an agreement will be made. If you are lucky, money would result or revenue will come from that process. And now that revenue would come back to the university and it will be split most of the time as follows. There's a share which will go to the creators. Then there will be a share which goes to the university-wide, and a share also probably to the department from where that creator comes from, a share to the research group, if that individual comes from a research group. And as you can see, all this money that you receive would reduce actually the money that you need to request from government. Most of our universities, they depend on government subvention to actually do research, cover here and there. But if you can be able to generate funding, to be able now to plow back into your research, it will be good. Because without having protected your idea, which you would call my idea, it is very, very difficult to go out there and convince a company to say, please help me develop this. Because it's risky. Other companies do take risks, but along the way, they discover that what you are doing with them, somebody else is doing, and they've got nothing to do about it. There's nothing they can do because they are not protected. But if you've licensed your idea to them or your discovery to them, they can be rest assured that they are protected in the market. Hence, it will be easy for them to take up your idea. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Adis. I don't know if there's a follow-up from DVC research. Dr. Collins.
Thank you. It's well answered.
Okay, thank you. Now, having concluded, we notice that there is no follow-up questions along the line. Once again, want to express our appreciations to Dr. Mukolo Magwala. Thank you very much for your presence with us. Thank you for contributing. Thank you for your contributions. We really appreciate. May I now hand over to our Dr. Atli Gamdani to take over the proceedings on the issue of presentations for parallel sections. Thank you. Dr. Atli Gamdani, over to you.
Thank you, Director of Ceremonies, Dr. Kinsola. Just a moment, I need to stop this. Right, on the breakout sessions, we proceed as per yesterday options. I hope you're able to see the screen that I'm sharing at the moment, which simply gives just a one-step option to join the breakout sessions. So for this morning session, we have two parallel sessions that are open. We have the E and the H, the group E, group H. as one can locate under the breakout rooms, and you'll be able to locate the breakout rooms from there. This screen that I'm sharing will actually be available in case your network gives you out. And you can always follow these instructions, and you are also free to move from one breakout room to the next. That's an option that's available to you, provided there's a presentation that you might be interested in from another breakout room. Pretty much without taking much time, I think this is what I can just share from the breakout room options that we have available. And just a reminder as well, for the session moderators to be recording their respective sessions in the breakout room. The live streaming will be stopping now.